100 days ago, I started the 100 Heads Challenge, and I finally have the tour ready to show you. One thing that makes mine a bit different is I decided to create a few of my own parameters, and that included sticking with the same medium, which was graphite. And the other aspect of the challenge, and I'm trying to remember why I added this to the challenge, I think it was so that I would just focus on drawing and not redoing the drawing over and over again, is I said no eraser allowed. So get ready for some good, some bad, some ugly. The day is finally here for my sketchbook tour of my 100 Heads Challenge. So this has 100 sheets, so I could have just done one head per day, but I guess I decided to do 4 heads per page. But after doing that, I think that was too many per page. It would have been better for this size of sketchbook, which is only a 5.5 by 8.5 inch. You know, that's not a lot of space. Some of them I did struggle to deal with the sizing, but here's what it is. And I also decided not to have an eraser, no eraser allowed. So never again. No, just kidding. I think that was an interesting aspect of the challenge that I did for myself. So, you know, I started out with these and I used images from Pinterest. So I just searched 100 Heads Challenge on Pinterest and started looking through and picking random different ones. And I think at first I was following a thing that was like 1, 2, 3, 4. But then I found it was kind of hard to find each number. So I just kept going and remembered which ones I did and which ones I didn't. So this is the first 4. And they're not, in my opinion, they're not bad. But you know what I didn't use in the beginning is any smudging techniques. So let's continue on. 5 through 8. Some of these images might look familiar because I see a lot of people doing these for their 100 Heads Challenge. So you might actually recognize some of these. And it's interesting because in a way you feel like it should get progressively better. Like it should just be from like worst to best. That's definitely not the case. But I do see areas where I have more confidence and certainly areas where I've come to learn, okay, I need to work on this aspect quite a bit more. So even if you don't actually see a lot of progress in yourself when you do this kind of challenge, I think, first of all, just congratulating yourself. Hey, you know what? You finished a challenge. Like that feels good. And then some of them I do like, some of them are really bad, like proportions are off. But the learning aspect of it, just focusing on the fact that I've learned something and where I can improve in the future. And I try to do lots of different expressions, lots of different ages. It's interesting because when someone has really like perfect skin, it can be a lot harder because there's not a lot of shadows on the face. So I find that kind of a bit more challenging. So these are 5 through 8 and then 9 through 12. And I liked the ones where it was a statue that I was doing. So that was kind of fun if it was a carved out one, especially further on the way. Now, some of them you can see some smudging happening from one side to the other, which has affected some of this, but this is just a sketchbook, so I'm not super concerned about it. But I could, if I wanted to, either put something in between each page or use some kind of fixative. I guess it depends on your own preference, really. So 13 through 16 over here. Some of these ones you might recognize. So yeah, if you see some of this, that wasn't added in. That was just from the other sides, kind of probably rubbing against each other a little bit, or just having a lot of excess. You know, there was a lot of graphite in this one, and so that transferred over onto this side. So as I go along, I want you guys to pay attention to which ones are your favorite and let me know, like jot down your favorite one as you're watching or favorite ones and let me know. And just your thoughts on the whole process or anything. Like, love hearing your guys' comments, receiving feedback, like that's really fun. So Then we have 17 through 20, and you can see that I've put the date. Sometimes I don't always have the date. So this is May 18th, and I started this on May 7th, 2004, or 2004. Hello, going back 20 years, 2024. And what's really interesting has been like almost exactly 100 days. I think it's now that I'm filming this, like 102 days or something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It's really fun to see different faces and give that a go. This one's kind of interesting to me. That was kind of cool. The eyebrows. One thing I did find challenging was doing the eyes and not being able to erase. So like that part I found really challenging because so sometimes the eyes, they look a little scary because I don't know, feel like maybe that one, I can't remember the reference image 100%, but yeah, so we have up to 28 here. And then these numbers at the bottom, they're just indicating the page number. So here, and here we shift right here, I believe it is. Actually, I think I started here a little bit. Yeah, up until this page here, I started introducing smudging. So I brought out my blending tools and I started smudging a bit. And I think that really, sometimes that worked really well and sometimes not as much or didn't make a huge difference. But what I liked about it is you can almost just use the excess that's on here to draw. And sometimes that was really helpful when I was sketching like the beginning aspect of things. Sometimes I would actually sketch with this to begin with and then move along. So some of them I really like because being able to use that tool and implementing that. Here, I just use my finger for some of it to blend, which can work, but it's not quite as effective as like a smudging tool. And yeah, so I did find this gives you a little more control too. If you're, a round finger, this comes to a point. So yeah, so some of these I liked a little bit more as I got onto this page here. So we're up to 36 here. Take note of your favorites. Let me know. Some of them that stand out, like I look at just like different ages, different genders, different, all kinds of differences going on here, which is really fun. Different styles, different facial expressions going on. Hair was a lot of fun. I thought that part was kind of fun to do when you have like different hairstyles going on, no hair, earring, like jewelry, accessories here and there that I did add in or didn't. So yeah, up to 44 here. So 37 to 44. I kind of like the expression on this face. Like my eyes are kind of drawn to that because of that. Okay. Don't look at this one. Now you're all gonna look at it. This one's the worst. Like if this just like I wanted an eraser so bad for this one because I just messed it up so badly. The proportions for like the shape of the head, it was just a really difficult angle of the face. And so that one's just horrible. But there's some ones I really like in here too. Like I really like this one here. It has kind of this dreamlike look to it. I like this one here. The hairs are kind of cool. Yeah. So some of them work out. So we've got 45 to 52 and here we're in June. So June 5th, 6th, 10th. Sometimes I would do like one or two. That's kind of what I was shooting for, was like do a couple each night. But life happens and sometimes I was just so tired. I was doing this while we were watching TV together as a family. So this was kind of end of the night type of stuff. Now that could indicate, a problem as well. That's not my best, time to create things, but I wanted to be able to do this while I was still spending time with my family and all the other stuff I have going on as well. So this was just maybe if I did another challenge where it was, actually sketching at my prime time of the day, that'd be interesting to see how that changes things. Let's keep going. We're halfway. We're halfway point. 50 right here. This one. 50. Yeah. Okay, so I'm continuing. You can see sometimes I use the the blending tool. And then sometimes I don't. Like for this one, 59, I might have smudged a little bit in the beginning, but you can see it's still a lot of just the pencil markings, original pencil markings. And what I like about that at times is you see, it's almost like seeing brushstrokes in a painting. You can see the work versus when you blend it, it kind of makes that disappear, which like sometimes that works and sometimes it's, not working. Yeah, see, like this one would have been great to use an eraser at certain points to create some lift, help the eyes, even this one here. But this one here, I went really kind of rough with the pencil markings, but now's the time to experiment a little bit within my parameters of no eraser, using a graphite, and really I just used a 3B. Pretty much this whole time was a 3B. And so these were my main tools, and I did sharpen the pencil quite a bit as well. So keeping a sharp pencil was important. But yeah, I really had fun with these ones with beards and, different expressions. Those were definitely more fun. So look at all this random, love it. So we got this here, would have been great, again, to have a bit of an eraser in here, but maybe that keeps kind of an interesting mood when you don't have that also. This one's kind of cool. I kind of like this one. It's got that roughness to it again. So sometimes the roughness I like, and then this one here, not a huge fan of how that one turned out. Definitely when I'm just sketching like this, and it could also be how I'm holding my sketchbook, because once I get to certain ways of holding it, it's a bit awkward. Like I said, having 4 on each page probably wasn't super ideal, but it's part of the challenge that I gave myself. And I thought this one turned out pretty well. But I think for me, sometimes it's the distance. Like some of the proportions get out of whack, especially when it comes to like the chin spacing where the mouth is to go. I think I really would like to work on how to draw mouths better. And like the nose to mouth, like the lower half of the face. Growing up, I would always draw an eye. Like, give me a thumbs up, give me a something, give me a like, tell me in the comments if this is something that you did or still do, perhaps, is drawing like one eye. You have like a sketchbook with a bunch of eyes, but it's usually just a single eye. Like that's that you feel more comfortable with. Hair I feel more comfortable with. Not that it's perfect, but shape of the head I could work on too, like the distance like with the forehead on some of them can really be worked on, but I feel least confident, I would say, in this lower half of the face. So now you're going to be looking at that. And this one here, I brought the face in a lot closer. That was kind of fun. Just switching things up a little bit in terms of, my parameters, like I said, were no eraser and using graphite. And that was pretty much it. And keeping 4 per page. And so by making some of them big, where it made sense to do so, I guess, helped switch things up just a little bit. But yeah, these are okay. I don't know if I have a favorite in here, but some goodies. So we're into July now, July 5th, and this is number 69 up to 76. So if you have a favorite in here, this one might be my favorite in here. These weird characters, I just like. This one I kind of like too. I don't know. Okay, we're on to 77, July 11th, up to 84. So this one was a fun introduction. After I did this one, there was a few more kind of like that. And my brothers, I'm going to say brothers, they're into like, I don't know if they're into Viking stuff per se, but one of my brothers is an artist and he does digital art designs. He creates characters, like customized characters for like these gaming magazines and stuff like that, and like publication things. I'm not really in that gaming world, so I don't really know a lot about it. All I know is it's really amazing what he creates, and so beautiful. But this is that just kind of reminds me of him. So when I'm making that, when I made this one, I really liked it. I like the feel of it, how it has certain areas that are kind of more focused, and then other areas that kind of blend away. Yeah, I like that. I don't really like this face, so that's I don't think I did a terrible job. I just don't love the face. This one I didn't blend as much, so there we go. And then over here, this one would have been great to have the eraser for the eyes. This is one of those instances where the eyes, I was like, okay, now I can't, go backwards. This one I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, some of them don't love as much. Some of them, see, this needed to erase right here. Right here, I need to erase. Got a little something in his mouth, a little something. Okay, here we go. We've got July 26th, number 85 through 92. And we've got July 26th, July 30th, and then I took a little break. I didn't write the date on this one, but this was not too long ago, just this past week, I think. And then I was like, hey, I need to finish this. I need to do the challenge video. We're getting to the end of the summer. I really need to get this done. Some of these ones I really love. This one here, I really love how this one turned out. This one here as well. This one pretty good. This one here is really interesting as a duo almost, because you have this one here that's quite like blended and like really interesting expression, and then this one here where I didn't really blend, and you can kind of see the process of how I drew some lines, which I didn't always do on all of them, but in certain instances I did, to try to get better placement of like where the eyes go and that kind of thing. So I do quite like that one. Here's another example of like creepy eyes based on needing an eraser. And I'm sure you recognize this guy. I hope so. Anyways, my husband was able to recognize him, so kudos to him. Before I reveal the final 8, I thought I would share some of the process that I took. And most of these 100 portraits were not filmed. They were just created, like I mentioned before, sitting with my family at the end of the day. But this time I decided for these last 8 to show you some of my process, because I think it's really valuable to see how somebody creates something. So just a quick time lapse of some aspects of the process. So just little snippets, a little glimpse into how I created. A lot of the time, I started with the overall shape, tried to get that correct, any major angles, that kind of thing. Started shading in. If it was a very shaded image, this was a really nice method to work with. This particular one that I first show, like number 93, has a lot of shading, so that worked really well. This next one didn't have as much shading on the face, so I'm working with some other methods to kind of create balance and that type of thing, because this particular face had a different angle, so it was a bit more challenging in some ways. But I will share some of this too when we look at the finished pieces. So that's number 94. And then I was trying to make sure also that I was selecting, overall, I didn't say like, did I do 50 male faces and 50 female faces? That wasn't really my goal. But if I did notice, okay, I just did 2 male faces, let's switch back to female, or that type of thing, trying to keep it somewhat balanced, just to give myself an overall experience of really different faces, really different expressions and angles and everything. So, and then also what fits on the page. So once I get to the 4th, it's kind of which one will fit on the page is kind of how I roll with it. So you can kind of see some of the process here where, I start with kind of that shape, and then we blend in some of the shadowing, and it starts to reveal what the location of where things should be. And sometimes I get it right, and sometimes it's kind of off, and you know what, that's okay, but we keep trying, and throwing in those details after you've blended really helps bring it to life and give it that kind of cool look to it, and the detail that makes something look more realistic anyways. And with a pencil drawing, it is sometimes fun to leave a bit of a rough edge here and there, I think. But it just depends on what you're looking for overall, and if you're serving a client or just doing this for your own pleasure. So this, you can see how I've started with the shapes and finding shapes within there, and then finding and refining those locations of, where the hairline is, the ears and everything. And some of them I just finished without filming the camera. This one here I just used a lot of shading overall and used the way I positioned the pencil, like held it in a different way. And so I tried different methods of how I held my pencil, and that gave an interesting experience too. When you're holding the pencil on a steeper angle where it's almost flat on the page, it does give you a different experience than just holding it like you would if you're writing a message to somebody, like, as if you're holding a pen. So that was really interesting for me. So I like how that kind of turned out. And then this, you see how I'm holding the pencil there and kind of using my pinky as some stability as well along the page. What can be challenging too is not messing up another piece while you're working on the current one. So when I'm working on my right page, like I am right now, I don't like having the book folded over, because then I'm smudging it with my backhand unless I jimmy rig something else out. So, which I could have figured something else out, but I just thought we'll just have it open. And when I was sketching sitting on the couch, I just had my knees up. And so I used my knees almost like an easel. Whereas right now I'm just kind of holding it for the camera, and that, it didn't work 100%, but that's okay. Now this last one, I was super excited. And I do mention this in the last segment where we review each image within this section. But I guess I just feel like reiterating that I just was really disappointed in my very final one. And you'll find out very soon why I feel disappointed in it. I do share this when we start looking at them, when I finished this little time lapse. So I'm just going to finish it, and then you will see why I'm not happy with that last one. But yeah, this is my process, and I'm still learning and growing with this, and excited to continue on that path of growth. So thanks for being part of it. So here we go, August 16th. So you can see July 26th, a bit of a leap forward. So there was some time we were working on a garden project, and we did all the labor ourselves, and it was a ton of work, and we planted tons of plants, and that took a lot of my energy. And by the end of the night, I was like, I'm too tired to do anything. So yeah, this is an example of when someone has like really smooth skin. I find it really difficult. So I struggled with this one. I don't love it. This one's kind of cool. Kind of like some of the aspect of it. This one had a difficult perspective on it. So I'm kind of happy. I'm happy with how it turned out based on the perspective, although it's not perfect. But we got 93 through 100 right on here. This is the last 2 pages. It's crazy because it seems to go by really fast when you just turn the pages, but actually sketching them can take a while. I found I was spending, I think it was about 20 minutes per head. And I don't know if that's good or not, but that's where I'm at. So whatever. It's where I'm at. I can't, change that at this moment. But yeah, I think this one was pretty good here. This one I was actually pretty happy with because it was an odd angle as well, and getting some of the proportions of it felt awkward, but as I was working on it, it worked out pretty well. This one's okay. And then this one, as I was going, I'm like, this is the worst one. I was just, how am I messing up number 100? The last one, it should be the best, right? But no, it doesn't feel like the best. I did fix it up a little bit, but I think it's because I kept seeing this image, and this one did have the 100 next to it. I would see it almost every time I was looking for one to work on, probably because I searched 100 heads, right? But I think when you see something and it becomes so familiar, it makes it harder to draw. And that's just like if you're trying to draw yourself, you're trying to draw a friend, it's a little bit harder because it's harder to access the right side of your brain to when you know somebody and you're drawing them and you know them and you want it to look realistic. If you're trying to do something where it's just, a little bit more abstract, and knowing the person really makes more sense for that, but if you're just trying to get a realistic look to a person, I almost find it's better not to know them. And then I find for myself anyways, it's a bit easier. So that is it. That is number 100. So there we go. All done, my 100 heads challenge. Oh, took me forever. But I have plenty more pages in here because I didn't use them. So another idea is to not use all your pages so that they don't smudge. However, I find that even if I just have a drawing here and nothing here, there's still some movement that happens. So if you really don't want it to smudge, the best thing is to use a fixative, a spray of some kind, a hairspray, an actual drawing fixative, and that's kind of your best bet. So that's that. Charlie wants to say hi. Okay, Charlie, say hello. There you go. Say hi to the camera. Where's the camera? I don't know, Mom. So let me know what you think in the comments. Again, let me know which one is your favorite. And no, let's not do the worst. We don't have to go there. We're going to focus on the positive. Which one do you think was your favorite? I feel like there was a lot of learning and improvement along the way, but what I noticed is there's still moments where I find I'm struggling, and there's just a specific one that I just struggle with here and there. So it's not a continuous growth of greatness. It's kind of this, oh, sometimes I'll do a better one and then it's like not as good, and then better, and that's the road to success, right? So I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out. But I'm excited to do something different because I found that I started them too small. I should have just done one picture per page, and I know that would have taken longer, but I also think that would have been just better overall rather than trying to fit 4 faces on a pretty small sketchbook. So that was something I would change. And in the future, I think I'm gonna let myself use an eraser because, man, that was brutal. I'd also like to try other mediums with it and see how that goes as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video, and check out what else I got going on this channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Bye now.